Good evening, one and all. God, I hope you're ready for this. I hope you are ready for this. It's been a while since we've done a proper full Jeff stream. Just think, Jeff stream. It's like its own thing. You've heard of the Gulf Stream. Welcome to the Jeff stream. It's definitely hot air. A lot of hot air, as they say. But yes, welcome, one and all. Welcome. Once again, welcome to our usual wonderful Wednesday live stream. As always, here on the channel, like I say, we do this, we try and do this every Wednesday, of course, when we can. Next week might be a little bit different, just to let you know. I might be trying out something a bit different next week. But again, you'll hopefully see, and you'll know we'll be able to join in on this. But again, it should be all pretty good. So yeah, like I say, as always, thank you very much for joining us all this evening. Let's have a peek who's in chat. Prinny Bird's in chat. Good evening to you. The Sauerkraut, evening to you. Kevin Haynes, Freedom Johnny, Dudes in chat. Draconic Dritz, Alexander, evening to you. Hello there, Simon. Conservator, evening to you. Richard Cullen, evening to you. Harry McIntosh, evening to you. Yes, let's go indeed for the Jeff stream. Oh, there's some lovely filth down here. DIY here. Let's see if Jeff is more exciting than hanging wallpaper. Well, we can always try. Like I say, as always, we'll be increasing, of course, Jeff's talking speed, because Jeff does indeed like to talk very, very slow compared to other people on YouTube. But as always, as we are at the start of the stream, as always, please do hit that like and share button. That will get more people into chat. And of course, if you do want to also click that share button as well, share it out on Twitter, Facebook, Reddit, wherever, all good streams are shared. And of course, we can get more people in to experience the Jeff Taylor. Yeah. Christopher. Jeff, yeah. Chickpea, how can you top Jeff last time? Well. That's the wonderful thing about Jeff. Jeff is the gift that keeps on giving, because honestly, today I had completely forgotten it was Wednesday. Like, I had absolutely forgotten that it was Wednesday. So I remembered literally at like 3 o'clock today. It's like, oh yeah, it's Wednesday today. And so I was like, oh, what am I going to do? Normally I spend like the couple of days before thinking of like videos or topics we can cover. And just so happens, whenever something like that happens, Jeff tends to be like the good fallback, because Jeff will always put out a lot of videos, and most of them are incredibly good to follow. But yeah, Jeff is like the gift that keeps on giving. He's like, is he like Brexit? Yes. Keep on Jeffing. Don't worry, we will. Yeah. Jeff is the Jeff that keeps on Jeffing. Yep, you are true, Conservator. Jeff never disappoints. No matter what day it is, Jeff will always continue to give. And I want to say, I want to try and think of like because I do follow like a lot of like US YouTubers. So I follow like the Majority Report, Vosh, the Surfs, Dave Packman, Kyle Kalinske. I follow like a couple of those types of people, and very often they have like their own version of Jeff, and I do feel like Jeff is becoming like my version of like not my arch nemesis, but he's just there all the time pumping out stuff, and it's just so wonderful just to watch this, because he's like the living embodiment of a Daily Express come to life. Like, that is literally what the best way I can describe Jeff. He's the living embodiment of the Daily Express come to life. And that's actually a question I would love to know, dude. That is a very interesting question. I would love to know the answer to. Is Jeff actually aware? Because I've said before, I wouldn't be averse to talking to Jeff. It's not something that I would say actively seek out. But if Jeff ever came to me and said, I want to talk to you, I wouldn't say no to it. But I know a couple of times, like Max has tried on a couple of occasions to reach out to Jeff. To, as far as I'm aware, no avail. Jeff very much sits in his YouTube, on his YouTube channel, and very rarely interacts with other people. There is actually, although I don't know if we'll cover it today because it was a while ago, that Jeff did a talk with two other very pro Brexiteers, and that might be interesting to listen to at some point. But I don't think we'll do it today. Like I say, there is enough Jeff content, or I don't know, is this Taylor content, this content Taylor that we've got to cover today. Like I say, let's see what we've got today. So we've got MPs about to vote blind. One day, two Boris pledges broken. Boris Johnson will tax you, butt out Biden, which might be interesting to watch. Would Boris Johnson be this cynical? Oh, that might be good to cover. The Europe short 40,000 HGV drivers. Again, that's not 100% true in the situation that they're talking about. I'll be interested to see how honest Jeff is about that. Because while there is a trucker shortage in Europe, it is predominantly to less truckers, rising demand, which we're also having over here. And we are also experiencing Brexit, which is adding to this problem and making it even more of an issue than it is in Europe. Because you do not see McDonald's in Europe, as far as I'm aware, saying that they are running out of product and that shelves are empty in Europe. I haven't seen what we've been seeing here. So, as always, yeah, it'll be very interesting. Don't worry, we'll get around to covering that one. But let's see what else Jeff has done. Because, like I say, last time we covered Jeff was very briefly, and he had literally done, I think, 2 days non-stop talking about Afghanistan. Will be interesting to see his take on Dominic Raab being thrown under the bus. That will be interesting to see. Oh, that'll be good. Stop blaming Brexit. So we'll definitely get around to watch that one. That will be interesting. Afghanistan lost. Will the Falklands Island be our next test? That will be interesting. Yeah, this is where I think we were around yesterday, I believe. I think we're around here about somewhere, but I think we'll move on. So tell you what, let's line up some of these videos. So tell you what, we'll watch this. We'll watch Jeff worrying about the Falklands. Then we'll look at his thoughts on Dominic Raab. And then we'll do the stop blaming Brexit. And then, or should we do, I have a feeling those are going to be the same, but we'll do the stop blaming Brexit one first, because that'll be the longest one. And then for the rest, we'll see what time we've got, but we'll do some of these at the top then. So are we all happy with that? Are we all good for that? Because we'll get into our first episode of Jeffrey. Oh, Jeffrey. I need a soundboard. I need a soundboard for that on. But anyway, yes. The Falkland Islands, the next test. Apparently, Jeff is worried about us losing the Falklands Islands. How, I'm not sure, but we'll find out, I'm sure. Of course, we have to speed Jeff up because he talks really slow.
Hello there.
There we go.
As the dust raised by the NATO retreat from Afghanistan starts to settle, up comes Argentina with another plot for the Falkland Islands.
So here we are once again, Jeff worrying about the Falklands Islands. This is one of those bizarre. It's one of those bizarre points of like colonial, well, should we say imperial Britain, really. It is literally a rock in the middle of nowhere that has something like 200 British citizens on it or something like that, and they're outnumbered by the amount of sheep that are on the island. Of course, with the discovery of oil just off the coast of the Falklands Islands is what made, well, the Falklands, shall we say, so important. But if you know anything about Argentinian foreign politics or diplomacy, whenever things are, shall we say, not going well, the current Argentine administration will always rile up some form of talk or nationalistic propaganda about trying to essentially retake the Falklands Islands. That is essentially what they always do. It's essentially their version of Brexit, really. Think of it as at any like populist talking point, their government saying we're going to reclaim the Falklands is pretty much that version of it. Like I say, they've tried, obviously, once militarily. I think there is pretty much a consensus probably within the government that really approach might not work again. But of course there is, the claim that Argentina has on the Falklands is that it lies within their, shall we say, territorial reach. That is why they claim the Falklands Islands to begin with. So let's get on with Jeff and find out just how, shall we say, many of these are there. What's this, quote, new plot that he has?
As per usual, please like, subscribe, and comment below.
And please do yourself hit that like, comment, and share below as well of the video. And of course, as you can see scrolling along, there are my Patreon page and my one-off donation link, Buy Me Coffee, down below. If Jeff gets to plug his stuff, then I get to plug my stuff as well. That's the rules. That's the rules.
When subscribing, please do press that little bell, but also select the all option, or you won't get any notifications when I publish a new video.
And like I say, I've said this before, Jeff is a very prolific publisher of videos. He puts out at least 4 to 5 videos a day. So in terms of like being able to put content out, yeah, I do have to sort of give him props for that, you know. But like I say, it's just more content for me to cover. So
this is what happens when you show weakness on the international stage. A chancer comes along looking to see if they too can have a pop at you. And having seen the UK melt away from the Taliban and out of Afghanistan, Argentine politicians have suddenly come up with a new but desperate plot to take control of the Falkland Islands.
Like I said before at the beginning, Argentinian politicians, you know, saying let's, you know, retake the what's the Argentinian? Is it the Maldives? No, the I can't remember what the Argentinian name for the Falklands Island is, but they always do this. This is like, as I said at the beginning, it's like their bit of nationality. It's just their bit of populism. That's their probably their nationalism that they do. That's it. That's Maldives. That's it. Thank you, Tom. Yeah. That. But yeah, that is pretty much what they do from time to time, and it's not the first time that they've done it in recent years. They do this almost every single year at some point, because this is just what they do. This is their part of their national politics. You know, when they're strong at home, they will start to say, well, we'll retake the islands. That's pretty much what they do in their politics. It has been that way, reaching all the way back to even before and after the Falklands War.
And this one is so desperate and off the wall, I had to check it wasn't April the 1st. So what are they up to? Well, the plan, it seems, is to pass a new law in Argentina, making it unlawful to claim that the Falkland Islands don't belong to Argentina. Yes, you could end up being...
I'd hardly call this a plot that is going to end up with, you know, the Falklands Islands belonging to Argentina. Like I say again, this bill that again he's just mentioned is exactly in line with what we've just been saying. It is just national pastime for especially the right in Argentina to go out and claim the Falklands Islands. So them saying we're going to pass this law, and it is going to be that you're not allowed to say the Falklands Islands belong to the UK. It would exactly be what the Brexiteers do when they say you're not allowed to say, I don't know, Northern Ireland is like part of the EU. You're not allowed to say that because that belongs to us. It's exactly the same type of rhetoric. It's nationalism, and you know, the Falklands Islands are just part of the nationalist talk over in Argentina. So again, this isn't a very real threat. This isn't a very real threat. This isn't going to suddenly mean that the Falklands Island change hands in any time in the near future. Like I say, this is just Argentinian nationalism at work.
Thrown in jail if you say that the UK legitimately controls the Falkland Islands. And although the next presidential elections are not until 2023, there are midterm national elections in the next couple of months. So it could just be political nationalist bluster to garner votes in the short term.
Yep, that's exactly what it is. That is exactly what it is, Jeff. Congratulations. I'm so glad that you've actually recognized that. At that point, Jeff can end the video. He really can. At that point, Jeff should just end the video right there. There's no reason for him to continue after this point. There really isn't. He's called it exactly what we were saying even before he started the video. I predicted what the reason was. So what else has Jeff got to say about this? You know, because he does go on for an extra 8 minutes. So let's see what else he has to say about this. But I'm sure Jeff's take on this will be as nuanced as his takes on Afghanistan were, if you remember those last week.
The Express reports that the proposal for the new law comes from Argentine politician Walter Correa, who sits in the Chamber of Deputies, and his move has gained support from others. He's not alone in this. Correa is a member of the Justicialist.
Yeah, of course he's not alone in this. I bet he's part of like the Nationalist Party in Argentina. And he's about to say it, but I guarantee you that's what it is.
Party, previously known as the Peronist Party, which is the largest party in their Congress, and therefore of the same party as the Argentine president, Alberto Fernandez. But I'm not sure the president himself is backing this particular proposal. This might just be a mad backbench thing, like the backbench bills put through in the House of Commons that have zero hope of ever getting on the statute books. But this proposal does contain other aspects, says the...
Again, you've just nailed it, Jeff. This is basically Argentinian nationalism using something to try and drum up votes for the upcoming election. This is what happens at every single election. This is like a fixture of Argentinian politics. You know, like I say, we've called it at that point. We've called it.
The Express, such as denying war crimes or crimes against humanity, or publicly protesting against pandemic restrictions, for example, i.e., don't say anything contrary to Argentine government policy. Sounds right up their alley, doesn't it? But there are ramifications, of course.
Now, Jeff, you may have heard that tone of voice there, but Jeff, the Argentinian conflict, the Falklands War, was at this point way back in the 80s. I wasn't even alive for it. I really don't care. I really don't care. It's done. It's over with. Shouldn't you be promoting, Jeff, that we are global Britain and that we should be making friends with Argentina? Because after all, aren't Argentina in the South American market, which apparently Brexiteers were all about getting into? So yeah, massive Jeff self-report. Mad backbencher with proposals with no standing of hope of getting on the statute book. Exactly. Yeah. The more I listen to Jeff, the more I have a feeling he's speaking about the UK. Canaverland, is this parody? You might not know who Jeff Taylor is, but I can tell you with 100% certainty, this man is being serious. This is what the right wing in the UK looks like. Jeff is a right wing UK YouTuber. This is not parody. This is 100% seriousness from Jeff. So if this is your first time, strap yourselves in. Make sure that your brain is safely secured, because you're in for a fun time. Anyway, let's continue.
Course. Were this law to get passed, it would discourage Falkland Islanders visiting Argentina, because a law like that would force the whole Argentinian political system to treat the Falkland Islands as an integral part of Argentina, because they all have to believe it and act as if the Falklands are under their control by law. So any Falkland Island...
I don't think so. I don't think there is any way that any country could even enforce that, even if that was somehow to pass. Even if that was somehow to pass, I do not think there is a single court where you could actually get that properly enforced. So again, this is just Jeff hyping stuff up like you always see right-wingers do. But again, it's not surprising. Like I say, yeah. Who's he got tied up behind that curtain? Have you ever seen the human centipede? This is my human centipede. little did you, yeah, if me, Max, and Phil ever disappear, we've been captured by Jeff Taylor and we've been human centipeded into some sort of monstrosity. Anyway, let's continue with this.
Who states openly, while on their home soil, that the Falkland Islands are a British overseas territory, they would be deemed by the Argentine courts to have set it on Argentine territory and would be arrested immediately on...
Oh, thank you very much, FSM the dog. When does he reach for the Hamlet cigar? It's true. It's true. And I've said before, Jeff is a very... if you've ever seen Poirot, he's basically evil Poirot. But yeah, like I say, I don't think there's any way you can actually enforce this law. No way.
UK diplomats to Argentina might be protected from this by diplomatic immunity, but tourists wouldn't be, nor would visiting business delegates, politicians, sports people and actors, etc.
Yeah, I fail to see how, again, even if they did pass this, I fail to see how they could actually how they could actually keep it enforced, and let alone if this came to a trial, how this would be enforced. So I do not think they could enforce this. Like I say, this is Jeff making pretty much a mountain out of a molehill at this point. Literally, this is a nothing story. Like this is a nothing story. Daily Blaze. Well, I should shut down my channel then. Just be on the safe side. Knowing my luck, I'll be at the back end of the centipede. It's true. This is what's going to happen. Jeff is just going to collect all of us like lefty YouTubers from the UK, and we're just going to be turned into one centipede. Just like in the sequel. You thought 3 was enough? Well, how about 4? Jeff's going to go further and go for an entire collection. He's going to look for a millipede.
Would make UK attendance at international conferences in Argentina very problematic. And an international football match with Brit supporters turning up, well... And we've always got the likes of Nicola Sturgeon and the SNP. They're always looking for new ideas for Scottish independence, and to kick Westminster too. You can just picture her drafting a new law for Holyrood right now, can't you?
Oh dear, is this why he's done this story? Because he doesn't like Nicola Sturgeon? Seriously, I think Jeff has a thing for Nicola. I think we can safely say that at some point, because in the past he has done weeks, like an entire week's worth of videos just on Nicola Sturgeon and like the SNP. So I think we can safely say at this point he's got a secret crush on Nicola at this point. But you can now see why he's done this story. Like I say, this story was an absolute nothing burger, and now He is threatening that, the SNP could pass a law where it's illegal for people to say that Scotland is part of the United Kingdom. It would, even if it did somehow pass, which it never would, because it would be absolutely ridiculous, they would never be able to, let alone enforce it, or even let alone have it stand in court. Why? Because it's just factually true. I don't think at that point you can go against something that's factually true in the court of law. From what again, I'm not a lawyer, so don't quote me on that, but I believe that might be the case. This is again part of Jeff's very bizarre. Yeah. Nicola is his incel secret desire. True. Very, very true.
Now, it's easy to dismiss this as a madcap proposal, but Argentine governments are always desperate to push the false Argentinian narrative over the Falklands. And with the 40th anniversary of the 1982 Falklands War coming up next year, who knows what...
Well, why do you think they're bringing it up, Jeff? I wonder why. With the 40th anniversary of the Falklands coming up? Why on earth might they be bringing something up? When, again, knowing this, and obviously claiming this is like a basic part of like Argentinian politics. Yeah, this is a complete nothing burger that Jeff has completely dragged up from the ground up. There's nothing to really say about this. This is an absolute nothing story.
Thinks they'll go to, especially when they see our weakness over Afghanistan. Just recently,
again, Jeff worrying about the weakness in Afghanistan. Okay, different context here. In fact, again, if you remember back in the 80s, there was a big thing about we might not be able to even do the Falklands War because of the Tory cuts to defense spending. And again, we went and did the Falklands alone at that point. You know, we sent over the task force. Afghanistan is a completely different kettle of fish. Even though NATO were, again, the presence, it was ultimately the Americans who made up the predominant forces over in Afghanistan. And of course, when they left, no one in the NATO countries wanted to stay either. And even if there had been a commitment by NATO, I think it would be very difficult for NATO itself to actually push to stay in the country. I think it'd be very difficult for NATO to justify staying in the country without, again, American boots on the ground as well as other NATO troops. That's basically the truth. This again, Jeff trying to compare the Afghanistan to Argentina. No, this is again complete nothing and a nothing burger. It's a complete nothing story.
Cannes speech by President Fernandez was given at the UN General Assembly, where he said, "I want to reaffirm the legitimate and imprescriptible sovereign rights of the Argentine Republic over the Malvinas, South Georgia, and the South Sandwich Islands, and the surrounding maritime spaces, which are an integral part of the national territory of Argentina and which have been illegally occupied by the United Kingdom for more than 187."
What did I tell you? What did I tell you? All you have to do here is replace all that with British stuff, replace it with like Brexiteer speeches. This could be very easily a story from, Nigel Farage. This could be an exact quote from Nigel Farage if you were to do some very quick changes. Change Argentina to the EU. I want to reaffirm legitimate and indescriptible sovereign rights of the UK over the EU and the surrounding maritime spaces, which are an integral part of our national territory of the UK, and they've been illegally occupied by the EU for more than 187 years. See how easy it is. Just a few word changes, and it's exactly like a Nigel Farage speech. It's, as we said at the beginning, this is just a part of Argentinian nationalist politics. Ari Toll, evening from Germany, evening to you, or guten Abend, I believe it is. Guten Abend? But yes, guten Abend. Oh no, guten Nacht is good night. I think it is guten Abend. Yes, something like that.
7 years. Argentina occupied the Falklands for 73 days during that period before being kicked out by us. And the people who live on the Falklands want nothing to do with Argentina. Now, the first British settlement in the Falklands was in 1764, and it had a succession of other settlements from the French, Spanish, and Argentines as well, until 1833, when Britain reasserted its rule over the islands. Argentina became independent of Spain in 1816, well after the first British settlement on the Falklands. So, message to Walter Collier and his political pals. They are called the Falkland Islands, and they are a British overseas territory. And if that law is passed and YouTube allows this video to be shown in Argentina or in the Falklands, will it be me or Google that gets arrested?
No, Jeff.
Anyway, what's happening in Afghanistan right now? Well, before...
What? Did you see that switch? Literally, like I say, this story and this law, as we said right from the very start, it's complete nothing. If you know anything about Argentine politics, they do this all the time about wanting to reclaim, the Falklands Islands, the Marianas, Sandwich Islands, whatever you want to call them. Like I say, I don't care. There's literally about a population of about 200 people on that island, and they are outpopulated by the number of sheep on that island. There's more sheep on it than there are human beings. So, this is complete pointless. But I love the complete, literally tonal whiplash we've just had there. So, what's going on in Afghanistan today? That is complete tonal whiplash. But like I say, last week, if you were here for Jeff's reasonable, yeah, you can see hopefully you can tell the sarcasm in my voice. Jeff's reasonable comments on Afghanistan last time were completely pointless. But again, I would love to know what Jeff's official opinion is on Afghanistan, because we never managed to pin it down about what he would have liked to have done with Afghanistan. Because I'm very much of an opinion that us leaving Afghanistan was very long overdue, but I think the withdrawal process and the way that it's been done has been an absolute omnishambles, completely well and truly. That has been the deciding factor in all this. And of course, the future now, very much in upheaval. There have actually been reports today of protests against the Afghanistan, protest against the Taliban government by the Afghanistan people. Again, we'll have to see where this goes, because we don't know where this is going to go. Like I say, they're getting significant pushback. They've never had to deal with this significant pushback before. We'll have to see what happens there.
Before I get to that, I just want to say a massive thank you to all my Super Thanks, Patreon and PayPal supporters, as well as those that do buy a mug with my mug on it. Links in the descriptions box below.
It is
really
a
do help me
fantastic
keep
mug.
this channel going. So the Taliban has taken full control of Kabul airport and has now declared full independence. And thousands of Taliban supporters have flooded onto the streets of Kandahar in celebration. And to rub it in, many Taliban fighters are now wearing state-of-the-art US kit that they recovered after the US troops just abandoned it. While the US Secretary of State Antony Blinken announced...
Yeah, we didn't come here for Jeff's reports on Afghanistan. We came here for his nuanced take on Argentina. But here's the thing. Jeff here is not actually giving his opinion. It's very rare that he does give his opinion. He gives it every so often in between some of that stuff. And this is why I think if I ever did talk to Jeff, it would be actually interesting to try and nail past what his actual opinions are on some of this stuff. And I think that will be very much important to that. What's this from John Curry? Jeff was in the Navy years ago. He's the type that was known as a mess room lawyer, always causing trouble but never directly getting the blame. Really? So Jeff was in the Navy then? Somehow that doesn't surprise me. But anyway, we'll go back on to the next one, because to be honest, that's the big thing about Jeff sometimes. Sometimes he has really good videos, other times it's just like, and like I say, that was Jeff sped up. And even then he was coming across pretty slow. Where are we? Dominic Raab under the bus. Let's see what he thinks on this.
Hello there and good morning. The Afghanistan shit show demands...
Oh, good morning. Oh, Jeff's also sweared there as well. Oh, I think, aren't we getting a bit spicy there, Jeff? Getting very spicy there. But yeah, this will be interesting.
Say political scalp. That'll be Dominic Raab then. Hello there and good morning. The Afghanistan shit show demands a political scalp. That'll be Dominic Raab then.
So at this point, this video was done on the 2nd of September, and it's now the 8th of September. And of course, Dominic Raab is still yet to resign. I have said this before, but Boris has set a precedent where basically it doesn't matter how badly you screw up, you can pretty much stay in your position. He doesn't care, basically. He should care, of course, because these are essentially, hashtag just dress down Jeff. Because, you have these, we've had so many situations where people could have resigned, and yet the only person who has resigned is Matt Hancock. Now, this gets quite interesting, because why on earth did Matt Hancock resign after all the pressure he had on the absolute failings during the past year over the coronavirus? Why didn't he resign? Why had he only resigned when he got caught in that affair? That's the interesting thing that not a lot of people like to talk about, and I think it's worth just dipping into very briefly here. This is because a lot of the Tories that you see we don't have proper Christian fundamentalists here in the UK anymore. They are a very, very dying breed. In fact, the strongest, Christian statements you will see MPs make are basically from the likes of Jacob Rees-Mogg, which, again, if you took them over to America, would almost be seen as very, very weak milk toast statements over in America, just as like a bit of a comparison. But there is one thing that a lot of the backbench Tories, which again were the people who put the pressure on him to resign, were that they are very big on family values. And of course, having an affair is not very family values. So he was put massively on pressure to resign. And you've got to remember, someone's just said it in chat as well. He was going to be the scapegoat for COVID. And he still pretty much is, because when we get to the hearings of this, he will be called to testify. And I guarantee you he will be made the scapegoat for those hearings. Now, I said it before, it would be very interesting if Raab decides to turn on Boris. That could be very, very interesting if Raab decided to turn on Boris. He won't, because I don't think he has the spine to. And just like most Tories on the front benches at the moment, they all have political aspirations of being at the top of that greasy pole and being prime minister. But like I say, Raab hasn't had an affair. So as far as Boris is concerned, he can stay. It doesn't matter, what screw up he's made. Boris has made it very clear. You can stay. It doesn't matter what screw up you do. Just stay. It makes me look good. So let's have a brief roundup and see what Jeff thinks of this.
As per usual, please like, subscribe and comment below.
And
when
speed Jeff up
subscribing,
more.
please do press that little bell, but also select the all option, or you won't get any notifications when I publish a new video. The UK exited Afghanistan, leaving many people in the lurch.
Let's get it right. Let's get this right. It was not.
Sorry, I don't have an answer for that.
Okay, Alexa just decided to speak there, and it was not just the UK that left Afghanistan. It was predominantly the US and their forces that were there that left, that's caused the other NATO allies that were there to leave as well. So let's get that right. Oh, thank you very much, Yeoman, for the support there. Coffee, as long as I don't have to see Jeff. Yeah, too late. Too late for that.
Now, we all know it was mainly a total Joe Biden-led cock-up of immense proportions. But we can't hold the US president to account. So we obviously need our own political fall guy, preferably a minister, and to make it even better, a Secretary of State. And the hunt for the...
Why wouldn't we blame the Secretary of State on this? Again, Jeff is trying to really here push a fact the way that we do bear some responsibility for the state that Afghanistan is in. We do bear some responsibility in that. Jeff here is trying to abdicate all responsibility for any responsibility in Afghanistan. Hence why, we're just looking for a scapegoat in Dominic Raab. Really, it's Joe Biden's fault. He's the one who should be blamed, not Raab. Again, because he's trying to stick up for Raab for some bizarre reason. And trust me, if you saw last week when Raab was absolutely taking an absolute kicking in front of that select committee, he well and truly deserved it. But like I say, he had no brief, he had no notes before him, he just basically just was not prepared for it.
The most likely candidate was laughably easy, because one of them made the silly mistake of going on holiday just as the whole shit show unfolded. And he also just happens to be...
Here's the thing. It's not a silly mistake, because a lot of right-wingers, if you've been paying attention to the discourse surrounding this, a lot of right-wingers are saying that when we on the left are criticizing Raab, we're making a fact of, he was on holiday, and we're saying that, ministers aren't allowed to be on holiday. No, Raab is fully allowed to be on holiday. No one is saying that. Because, like I say, it was the holiday period for all of Parliament. Pretty much every MP was on holiday. What we are saying is that Raab had been briefed about the potentiality of what was going to go on in Afghanistan. He knew about the deteriorating situation. As was said in the select committee, not the select committee, but the guy who ran the select committee after an interview, this was not a failure of spies to get the intelligence or get the correct intelligence. This was a failure of ministers to actually pay heed to the intelligence that our spies and our intelligence community that was gathering. That's what the real problem here was. Like I say, it had nothing to do that he was on holiday. I'm fine with the fact that he was on holiday, but the fact that he was on holiday when we know full well he had been briefed about the potential disaster, you might think that maybe while I can go on holiday, maybe I shouldn't be away in holiday or be somewhere where I can get back quickly in case I need to, in case the situation deteriorates, which it ultimately did. That's what someone who would be responsible in their position would be. And I know calling a member of Boris Johnson's cabinet responsible is bizarre, but that's what a responsible minister would have done. And like I say, I've had to speed up Jeff more because I swear he's speaking even slower. I swear he's speaking even slower. So I've had to speed him up even more. So hopefully you can understand, Jeff. Like I say, if you want me to slow it down a bit, let me know. If we're fine with continuing Jeff at this speed, then we'll continue with the Jeff at this speed.
The Foreign Secretary too. A large lapse for one so high. So Dominic Raab was dutifully marched in front of the House of Commons Foreign Affairs Select Committee firing squad for the political execution. And Raab made their job extremely easy by refusing at least 9 times to state the exact date he departed on his holes. And the Prime Minister himself, Boris Johnson, has stated that he absolutely has full confidence in his Foreign Secretary. And we all know where...
Yeah, again, I said it earlier, the right wing are going after the holiday angle. Again, it's not the holiday angle that we care about. It's the fact that he was briefed in the select committee. He admits he was briefed about this. He was briefed about this. The problem is he didn't do it. Kirsten Cruz, much slower. Add some bass. Go on then. We'll have some fun. We'll take it slower. Let's add some bass.
Where that leads to, don't we? And by telling the select committee that, with the benefit of hindsight, he wouldn't have gone away on vacation, Raab seems to be admitting that he was unaware of the gravity of the situation. But how about his advisors and all the other ministers? So
again, that's normal Jeff talking speed. You can see how slowly Jeff talks. You can see just how slowly Jeff talks in his videos. So very slow. That's why I have to speed him up, because otherwise we'd never get through. But again, Jeff playing on the right wing holiday angle. Again, we don't really care about the holiday angle. It's the fact that he was briefed about the situation and the fact that he just didn't seem to care about the situation. And even as the intelligence committee was saying, this is going to get bad, he didn't seem to care. He remained on holiday.
Such as the Prime Minister himself. Surely they knew he would be absent. Don't they timetable these things? Did none of them counsel Raab to abandon his holidays instead of abandoning Afghanistan?
And it's worth pointing out, not only was Raab on holiday, the Prime Minister was on holiday, and the Undersecretary under Raab was also on holiday. The three people who should have dealt with this and been looking at plans and contingency plans or kicking those into action were just absent. You know, it's what we've been seeing since Dominic Cummings left, really. We've been seeing continuing report after report of Whitehall is in chaos. Like, every department is in chaos. And the exact same story and the scenarios have come out about the Foreign Office.
If not, then they are as complicit in this as he is. In fact, why wasn't he ordered to scrap his holiday plans? Or did they think the response would be better with him out of the country, while also presenting a good opportunity to ditch him?
Again, no one's ditched him. He hasn't been forced to resign, even though there was a bit of backbench pressure on him to resign. He hasn't resigned. He's still there. And as I said, if he hadn't gone, like the day after, then of course he was going to stay there.
Our government departments and secretaries of state operating in stupid little silos, completely insulated from each other? Or are they working in a more joined up manner? Either way, it shows a failure of government, not just Dominic Raab. And all those Tories.
I'm so glad he's just admitted that the government doesn't fail there, because it's very, very rare that Jeff will actually admit that the government's failed somewhere. So that was a very, very rare admission by Jeff that the government had failed. Again, he seems to not admit it in other areas, but he will in this for some reason. Again, I think it's because of the way the right are talking about this as a talking point in this regard.
6 of them on that committee grilling Dominic Raab. Were they protecting their party's foul-ups by concentrating on Raab and his holiday? Afghanistan may have been thrown under the bus, but it looks like its rear wheels will now be squelching the Foreign Secretary. And remember...
Nope, they haven't. He's still unsquelched, to quote Jeff there.
Although Boris decided against having a Deputy Prime Minister, Dominic Raab is the most senior cabinet member after him, as he is both Foreign Secretary and First Minister of State. Would his whereabouts therefore not be of central concern for Boris? In fact, how about the members of that august body, the Foreign Affairs Select Committee itself? Was the chair of that committee, Tory MP Tom Tugendhat, not aware that Raab was about to embark on his holidays? Seems strange to me if he didn't. If there was evidence
everyone was on holiday, Jeff.
Raab not to leave the country, surely
everyone was on holiday. Literally everyone was on holiday. It was the holiday time. Parliament was on break. It was in its summer recess. Everyone was on holiday. Oh, dear.
That would be the headline news. That they did not shows that they too would likely have done the same thing. At the end of the day, for security reasons, many in Westminster might not know where he's due to be going for his summer break until they see the embarrassing snaps in the press, of course. But even that's questionable. But surely they knew the dates he'd be away. Where was the Sir Humphrey Appleby figure? Again,
he's focusing so much on the wrong area of this. It's not the fact that he was on holiday. It's the fact that he had been briefed about the deteriorating situation in Afghanistan and still chose to go on holiday. You know, he'd been warned, he'd been told, and he still went on holiday. That's the real story of a guy who just didn't care. That's the real story. But of course, the right are trying to make it this thing of, him being on holiday, it was the real issue. No, there's far worse beyond that, because again, he'd been briefed, he knew about it, but he just didn't care enough to do about it, which says a lot about this Tory government, knowing the information and not acting on it.
Warning of, do you think it's wise to go on holiday right now, Secretary of State? Did the Defence and Home Secretaries warn him to stay? And if they had, surely that would have leaked by now. That no one's talking about this says to me that they were as surprised at the time as Raab was. Now, I'm not defending Raab.
Yeah, because no one cared. No one cared. Let's put it really honestly and brutally. No one really cared about the Afghanistan situation, even prior to the collapse of the Afghanistan government. So again, this just goes to show you how little they cared that they went on vacation. And again, it just wasn't Raab. Everyone was on holiday at the same time. It was the summer recess. This is the period when MPs go on holiday, even government ministers, because everyone, including Boris Johnson, does deserve a holiday at some point.
Actions, but as far as I can see, there was a collective Westminster failure here, not just government either. But the collective has decided to select a lone target for the wolves to eat, while defending themselves. So what's your opinion?
There is no one else to defend here, Jeff. It is all on Raab. This happened on his watch, and he did nothing. You know, he did nothing on this. But again, I'm not surprised. You know, it's classic Jeff. Well and truly classic Jeff. And of course, he comes close to blaming, you know, the Tory government. Comes close, very close, but doesn't go through with it. I know. Collective responsibility. How remarkably socialist of you. Again, it's true. It's very true. Jeff merchandises contraception in itself. That is very true. Oh. That is true. Yeah, Barry White once got arrested for stealing over 300 tires. Can't wait to see Jeff get that active. That would be very funny if that did happen for Jeff. Although bear in mind, he did run for UKIP one time. He did actually run for UKIP. It would be fascinating. Again, what I wouldn't give to see Jeff at the hustings. Like somewhere that must exist. Somewhere that has to exist. Jeff on the hustings, giving his speech about why you should vote for UKIP with all the other candidates. That has to exist somewhere. Somewhere that exists. I'm going to have to try and track that down, I think, because that's got to exist somewhere. That will be funny to watch in itself. But yeah. So that was his take on on throwing Raab under the bus. But you can tell just how wrong Jeff really called that. He was constantly saying that Raab's going to be thrown under the bus. Raab's going to be gone. He's going to be used as a scapegoat. Again, that was done, where was that? 6 days ago, over almost a week at this point. Not come true, not happened, because again, Boris has clearly said in his cabinet, it doesn't matter what you do, you don't have to resign, unless you have an affair, of course. Then you have to resign. Well, so you don't have to resign, but the backbenchers will put a lot of pressure on you too. Yeah. Jeff Taylor running for Dunny on the Wall, beaten by Baldrick. Very, very true. Anyway, where shall we go next? Yes, tell you what, stop blaming Brexit. This will be good. Always good for this one.
Hello there.
Oh, hello there, Jeff. Good you sped up. Excellent. Let's get into this, shall we?
Hello there. The words that the mainstream media always mix together are HGV, driver, shortage, and Brexit. But they're just plain wrong.
No, Jeff. No. They are 100% right in this. Europe is experiencing HGV driver shortage as well. That is true, but not to the extent that we are. Not only have hundreds of thousands of EU HGV drivers basically left the UK, we also have EU logistical firms who have basically decided we're not going to operate in the UK anymore because of the Brexit rules. You know, Brexit is causing problems, but we are going to see here, Jeff, literally bend almost over backwards in an attempt to try and deny that. So there we are. Oh, Kirsten Cruz. To be honest, Boris is a brilliant tactician. Gove is gone. Raab is gone. Sunak will be gone once he presents the budget, and he can't keep the promises made. Only Boris will be left. Just pure brilliant. Sort of in a way true. I mean, Michael Gove is still, partying around, probably apparently haunting the nightclubs of Aberdeen. If you've seen the video, we're going to have to pull that up. We're going to have to watch that just very briefly. Where is it? Here we are, Michael Gove dancing.
One of the most senior Tories in the land turned.
No, I don't want that. So here we go. Here is the video. Again, if you haven't seen it, I'm not going to share the audio of it because of copyright reasons. But again, this is Michael Gove dancing in the club. Join in now. We're doing the Gove. Yeah, that's Michael Gove dancing in the club. This actually hit. This was a real thing that happened. Not that, ministers aren't, shall we say, allowed to visit nightclubs, of course they are. But let's just say Michael Gove has cultivated a certain type of personality of this would be the last place that he would turn up. And given the fact that just a day later, we would see Dominic Cummings coming out saying how much Boris would like to torture his own shall we say, cabinet members over their own drug usage. You've got to wonder if there is if Gove might have been on something there. I don't know, but like I say, he has cultivated a very particular type of personality where he would not be caught in that club. That would be like the last place you would expect to see Michael Gove. So, like I say, yeah, this is your brain on drugs. I'm surprised. I am really surprised someone hasn't made that as like a bit of a meme. But there you go. Maybe it's an opportunity for someone to actually make it. But anyway, let's see what Jeff has to say about stop blaming Brexit.
As per usual, please like, subscribe and comment below. And when subscribing, please do press that little bell, but also select the all option, or you won't get any notifications when I publish a new video.
So since Jeff's done his little promotion, I'm going to do mine. If you are new to the channel, then please do hit that subscribe button. Subscribe. We've got plenty of videos coming out. And if you do want to help support the channel, then please do remember to hit that like, share, and subscribe button. It does help out massively. And of course, down below, there are links to my Patreon page or my one-off donation link called Buy Me Coffee, where you can, well, buy me coffee. And thank you to all the people who do support the channel. So, on with this then.
You have to give the Remainer rearguard credit for sticking to their narrative, don't you? Because every time someone even hints at supply chain problems, the three words, because of Brexit, always trip so readily from their tongues.
Because Brexit is having an impact on these supply chain problems. When you have the boss of Marks and Spencer, you've got the boss of Tesco, there's the boss of Sainsbury has refused to say that Brexit is an issue, but apparently people in Sainsbury's are saying that, yes, that is the problem. You've had McDonald's have come out and said it. You've got Greggs, Nando's, KFC. These aren't small companies. These are very large companies. And it's not just in that sector. The construction sector, again, came out not only this week, but last week as well, saying, hey, look, Brexit is affecting the construction industry, not only just in terms of labor, but in terms of materials as well. The materials have shot up something like 200 almost +% almost for some stuff. And yeah, it's happening everywhere. It's just people, the politicians especially, because I've said this before, this year is all about proving Brexit works, regardless of what happens, because I can guarantee you at the end of this year, as I've said all throughout this year, at the end of this year, there is going to be some document released, or Boris Johnson is going to come out and say how wonderful Brexit has been this year. See, we've proved all the naysayers wrong. And then next year, he's going to go back and do some renegotiating with Europe. How do we know this? We know this, of course, from the very much debacle that was the Norway agreements. Norway came out and basically said, The stuff that the United Kingdom is talking about, we need to go and talk to the EU with them to talk about this, because that's how we do our trade agreements. We're in the single market, but we can do our own trade agreements. We just need the EU to say, yes, that's okay. But that gives them, again, more leverage. And the Norwegian response was that the UK has explicitly said to them, and again, the UK didn't deny this. So as far as we are concerned, this is true. They came out and said that the UK was not interested in talking with the EU until 2022. Why on earth, all of a sudden, are we only interested in talking with the EU in 2022? It's because this year is all about proving that Brexit is some sort of success, because either Boris or the Brexiteers themselves know that they can't let this essential situation continue. Our economy is going to get worse, it's going to suffer, and as we are already seeing, exports from other countries are not making up for our loss from the EU. And these are some very big losses that we are starting to see. Actually, just today, some news. We have dropped out of the top 10 of Germany's exports. Germany's now importing less stuff to us, whether that be because of the coronavirus, could be an impact from that. However, it's more likely, of course, to be from Brexit. Now, this is the first time I think this has actually ever happened since 1950 or something like that. So this has been very, very much a Brexit problem. As we said before, if people are exporting less, that means less money coming to the government, less businesses are growing, smaller investments here. It will eventually lead to job losses and a smaller economy. And that was just released today. So that's literally news fresh from the oven. But yeah, Brexit is not going well, and yet Jeff here is going to try and say that no, it's going fine, it's going well. So let's see what other excuses he comes up with.
But they look at the UK economy in isolation to justify all of this, because anyone that looks further afield will see that this is far from an...
Yeah, to know the impact of Brexit, you are going to have to look at the UK in isolation. Of course, he's referring to the truckers, but again, as we mentioned before, yes, Europe is having some HGV shortages. They aren't as bad as we are over here, but they are having problems.
Isolated UK issue. In fact, it goes much further afield and is much more widespread than most people would have imagined. And it goes back much further than the day Britain, not the UK because of Northern Ireland, the day Britain actually exited from the EU single market. Here's what the British International Freight Association, or BIFA, said back in December 2018 in a news article called "Truck Driver Shortage Crisis Now Spreading Across the Whole of Europe." It was referring to a report by Transport Intelligence and said of it, "The supply chain analyst shows that in just 6 countries, the UK, Germany, France, Denmark, Sweden and Norway, the shortage of drivers adds up to 127,500.
So here's the thing. You are right, Jeff. Other countries in Europe are experiencing driver shortages. The problem is that Brexit is causing a very unique other type of shortage that is meshing into this and making our problems worse. Brexit has sent home hundreds of thousands of European drivers that would have normally been operating here in the UK. And of course, none of them have returned. We've also got the other problem of European logistics companies now basically saying we're no longer operate in the UK. Those two problems have been directly down to Brexit. Like, you can blame, now he's going to blame the pandemic, because again, the pandemic has increased the demand for deliveries, and of course there is a shortage of drivers, as to be expected. But again, this goes back, as he is, a number of years. Like I say, the full quote that he isn't reading, because I have actually covered this news story, they've been warning about this for a while now. So this isn't really news. Again, like I say, Jeff is trying to be very technical, and he's playing a really big whataboutism card here, while ignoring essentially the problems that Brexit is causing on our supply chains.
And on the situation in Germany, the Transport Intelligence Report itself says, in Germany, the DSLV Transport Union reports that in the next 15 years, 2/3 of drivers will retire. Germany is facing a shortage of 45,000 truck drivers, with around 30,000 leaving the profession every year. This compares with only 2,000 people receiving truck driving qualifications each year.
And of course, this is because it's becoming a less attractive job. It's the same in the UK. Like I say, there are, again, some problems that are affecting here as well as in Europe. But we are having some problems that are directly a cause of Brexit, as I have just said there. Again, he's not going to mention those facts, because, again, he's doing, well, what about Europe? What about Germany facing this shortage? What about this? That's basically all this video is. It's just big whataboutism.
And France had a 20,000 driver shortage too. And that was back in 2018. So what say the pro-EU anti-Brexit brigade about that? And Biffus.
I've just said it to you, Jeff. They are facing shortages. First of all, it's becoming a less attractive job, not only just here, but in the EU as well. And if you want to talk about the non-Brexit related issues, which again I have cited, again, EU truck drivers who worked in here in the UK have left, and also EU logistics companies have also refused to now operate in the UK as well. You know, those are very specifically caused by Brexit. And the pandemic, of course, has also means that it's basically been a year where no new truck drivers or HGV drivers have passed their test to go into that pool. Because even in the UK, most of the truck drivers are like in their 50s and 40s. So there are going to be lots that retire because of that. Again, it's not seen as a very attractive profession, not only here in the UK, but in the Europe as well. And like I said, those two problems we've mentioned before about Europe, about Brexit, are explicitly because of Brexit. Jeff is not going to mention those. Yeah. Excessive supply of shelving in the UK could be a good excuse. If only the construction industry were not reporting shortages in materials. Yeah, of course, Conservative here. Our government coming up with brilliant strategies like, oh, just hire more British people. Again, what if the British people don't want to do it? As we've said, it's becoming an unattractive career position for many people. People just don't want to do it. Even though, again, we're seeing just how important logistics companies are. And indeed, I think we're going to be seeing a strike, if I'm correct, in a couple of weeks from, I think it's Sainsbury's. I think it's Sainsbury's lorry drivers are threatening to go on strike, which I've said before. Because we're seeing these labour shortages, it's actually increasing the bargaining power of a lot of UK unions, which again is the last thing Brexiteers like Jeff would want to see happen, because they do not want more unions to have power again. They do not want that. So while, again, that is a bizarrely, and I will admit, if a Brexiteer wants to say, is there a benefit of Brexit? I will actually give them that is bizarrely a benefit of Brexit. That Brexit in some industries has given them more bargaining power to be able to negotiate for better wages and better conditions, because again, there's less staff. Technically, that is somewhat of a Brexit benefit.
Said that driver numbers have been on the decline for the last 2 decades. Nothing to do with Brexit then, unless a time machine was involved, of course. And Biffa also said, and remember, this was back in 2018, this gap in the labour market has been partly filled by an influx of East Europeans, but the report warns there is a limit as to how much this will ease the driver shortage.
The news article I went over that covered this from that also used that quote, basically said, look, we don't have enough lorry drivers in terms of like here happening in the UK, but we can plug that gap with Eastern Europeans who come over here to work in the logistics industry. That is how we keep the numbers up. But of course, again, not only due to Brexit, but again because of Priti Patel's immigration laws, sorry, can't come over here anymore. That's basically what's happened. And again, he's sort of admitting here, whether he will admit it, that of course we rely heavily, as a lot of people are finding out, how much heavily we've relied on labour from Europe to fill in a lot of the gaps in our labour market.
And it goes on to say that when drivers do leave Eastern Europe to work elsewhere, it creates shortages in the place they leave. So pray do tell me, any rejoiner types out there, how Brexit caused there to be shortages of drivers in Germany, France, Sweden, Denmark and Norway, all cited in the report back in 2018.
Brexit has not caused that shortage. It's been caused by the coronavirus, which again, Jeff, I've seen that full quote. I know that quote mentions the pandemic. I know it mentions the pandemic. So Jeff here is he's either intentionally or he's not, but I've never seen. This is the first example I can point to of Jeff being intentionally disingenuous about the information he's giving out here. Like I'm 100% certain he's being very disingenuous about the information he's giving out here. Because again, the situation in Europe is the pandemic. Just like in the UK, there has been a year where new drivers have not been able to be approved, while again, lots retired. This meant that the gap that normally gets filled by those new drivers coming in did not get filled. And just as in the pandemic, there has been an increase in demand for delivery, hence there being a potential driver shortage in Europe. But Europe is not seeing empty shelves. Europe is not having problems in McDonald's, in their KFCs, in any of their current industries. Now, there might be coming down the line because of this. But we hit our problems far, far sooner than they did. And again, that is because of what happened with Brexit. not only did we have, as I said before, a year where people weren't training to be replaced, we also did not have the influx from Eastern European or European immigrants either. So hence we have a huge, colossal shortage that we normally wouldn't have. And a lot of the European drivers, because of the virus, went home. And because of Priti Patel's new rules, they decided not to come back, as well as with EU logistics companies refusing to operate in the UK anymore because we're no longer in the single market and it's just too much of a headache. There you go, Jeff. I've given you the reasons. I'd love for you to tell me those reasons that are given, how they're not related to Brexit. Of course, he won't, because it's Jeff. Jeff will never respond to that.
But you won't, because you can't. And with the trend...
I just have. I just have.
being for ever fewer drivers, it sounds to me like the whole European Union single market supply chain setup was hanging by a thread back then. And that was back in 2018. And as far as
here's the thing. A French logistics company, they can also now work in Germany, in Belgium, in the Netherlands. That, to me, seems like a far better arrangement for them than our current UK drivers who can only work in the UK. And if they do come to Europe, have to take with them, again, according to the boss of M&S, over about 700 pages worth of documents with them. Seems to me that might be a bit better situation, and why, for example, Europe isn't seeing the shortages that we're seeing.
I can see nothing's changed, except it's got worse. Now move on to the start of the pandemic last year. I put together a video in May 2020 called UK Haulage Sector on Brink of Collapse. And I explained how the sudden drying up of delivery work was putting drivers on the scrap heap and haulage companies at immediate risk of bankruptcy. And I quoted the chief executive of the Road Haulage Association, Richard Burnett, saying, in the survey, 52% of those who responded said they did not expect to survive for longer than a month. That was 3 weeks ago, and now we are already starting to see businesses collapse. Their customers are also collapsing, putting more pressure on cash flows, so we are seeing a domino effect. Operators are now failing on a worrying scale. Insolvency numbers are increasing. On top of that, those that were working found themselves out on a limb, away from home, with nowhere to eat, drink, or relieve themselves because all the roadside services were...
Here's the thing. Through my association with my local wargaming club, two of the people at that wargaming club are lorry drivers. They have never worked more in their entire life over the past couple of months. In fact, they've earned more significantly in their past couple of months than they ever have before. They've been loving it. Again, that's a bit of a personal statement, anecdote, Andy, but I guarantee you, if there are any HGV drivers out there, they'll tell you it's been a very hard time for them, but they've probably never earned more or had better conditions before.
Shut down. They were getting crap pay, no quality of life, while delivering so that everyone else could work from their sofas or get paid to loaf about. So is it any surprise that any drivers at all are left?
And yet now we see potential strikes with Sainsbury's logistics union threatening to strike, and more UK logistics companies having to offer more pay, having to offer bounties for drivers to start. We've seen the Liverpool port itself offer increased money to lorry drivers, which is again having to have a knock-on effect to the end customer, and eventually we will see these costs come to us in the forms of increased price for goods. Again, as I've said before, yes, the pandemic does have a part to play in this, but so does Brexit. And Jeff seems to refuse, as I've said there, the idea that, you know, Brexit played a part in it. I mean, he even admitted earlier on in that quote that he said that, oh yes, Eastern Europeans come here to help fill the gap. Tell me, Jeff, what happens when you take away those Eastern Europeans from our labor pool? It does not take a rocket scientist to work that out. It really doesn't take a rocket scientist to work it out. Oh, yeah, that's true. Can you imagine your prospectus in the UK if you were both a vet and a customs expert? yeah, that is true. Oh, yeah. A vet, customs expert, and also a holder of a HGV license. That is very true, John. Very, very true. Yeah. Can you imagine prospects in the UK? Yeah. Yeah, and I think that's what we'll start to see. There are grumbles in a lot of unions who are saying it's about time we use this as a real pressure point to exert some of our pressure again, because they'll never get a better time to essentially seize back a lot of power that Margaret Thatcher took from them, which again could be quite interesting.
It wasn't Brexit that drove them away. It was the pandemic stripping them of work and therefore money. And where
it was also Brexit, Jeff. It was also Brexit. The fact that Priti Patel put in those immigration rules, even if you go to an alternate universe and the pandemic never happened, but Brexit did with the exact same timeline, and Priti Patel put in immigration rules, all those European drivers forced to go home. They're gone from the pool. To which the head of the Road Haulage Association, which you've just quoted, said that even then, we did not have enough drivers in the UK, even when you took into account of those who were trained, and that it was the drivers from Eastern Europe, which you yourself admit came in to fill the gap. What happens, Jeff, when you remove those drivers? Brexit is indeed causing a problem.
wherever the drivers went, they found themselves locked down and unable to move. And I said that if we came out the other side of this pandemic without a fit and ready haulage sector, we would be struggling. But the reverse has happened. We even shut down lorry driver training and testing, something exacerbated by a DVLA strike. But as I've said, it's not just the UK. Here's what Italy 24 News reported last month. There is a shortage of truck drivers in Italy, a lack that has lasted 4 years and accentuated by the restart of the economy after the stalemate due to the crisis caused by the coronavirus emergency. Many supply chains were caught unprepared.
This is exactly what I said before. Yes, other countries are experiencing a crisis in their potential logistics sector, but not as severe as us. Why are we experiencing a far more severe crisis than Italy, Germany, France, Netherlands, all these other countries that you mentioned? Why are we having a far harder time than the rest of these countries? It's Brexit, Jeff. It's Brexit. Don't be afraid, Jeff. It's Brexit. Don't worry, Jeff. It's Brexit. Don't worry. We'll be there for you. You can cry. Don't worry. Admit it, Jeff. Brexit hasn't worked in this area. It's failing you, Jeff. You have no power here. You have no power here, Jeffrey. You may believe in your Brexit all you want, but you have no power here. The dark side of the Remainers grows strong here. Soon we will have a fully operational battle station. And when your friends get here, it will be ready and the shields will be up. Yeah. Brexit is causing a problem. But for Brexiteers like Jeff, they can't seem to admit that Brexit is adding to the problem that we are already facing. Because somehow, even though Europe is having a shortage, it's not having the same effects as we are seeing here.
And the trucking associations opted for a drastic request: the immediate hiring of a greater number of truck drivers from abroad and the launch of active policies to solve the crisis and avoid stalling in the sector in the future. And then there's Germany. Here's a Google translation of what Welts reported in June. In summer of all times, the security of supply of beer and other beverages is at risk because tens of thousands of truck drivers are missing in Germany. Soon, pubs and beer gardens that have only just opened again could be...
Again, that was primarily because of the pandemic. Many truck drivers, again, obviously with restrictions. That's the pandemic. But as I keep on saying, Jeff, I have literally given you the reasons why you say I can't give them. And yet, you just keep on bringing up these articles as if it proves something. Proves what? Now, if you were to show me an article of a German pub running out of beer, maybe you might have a point. I can show you the article of Witherspoon's pubs that have had to apologize to customers because they do not have the products that they want. And now we said this was in Welt, which I think is a German newspaper. And dude has said, you've said here, he's either lying or he's translated someone that's lying. I've said this now. I think this is the very first time we've seen a video of Jeff here where he is either lying intentionally or he's using sources that are lying to him. Of course, Brexit is the sacred cow for Jeff. So it's of no doubt that he would be using very pro-Brexit sources, some of which I would say would definitely be lying about this. Like I say, Brexit is causing problems in our supply and logistics sector. I've already explained why that is. Jeff says apparently we Remainers can't. I've explained it to you why. Again, Jeff, if you ever see this, would you like to respond? I'd be very happy to have a video back and forth if you wanted to. I'd be very happy about that. It'd be quite fun. But again, I don't think you can generally respond to the arguments I put forward that yes, Brexit is causing our problems. Yeah, Conservative here. There are shortages in the hospitality sector in the Netherlands too, but not to the extreme extent that businesses are having to limit their services, which again, they are here in the UK. Oh dear.
An unfortunate scenario. Try blaming all of that on Brexit. Go on, please, try.
Why would I be... You've used there a German source and an Italian source. How is that a Brexit problem? They're the ones that haven't Brexited. We have. I've listed to you, Jeff, 2 problems. I guarantee you I could probably find more. But you seem to refuse, even though you acknowledged that the gap was helped to filled by Eastern European drivers. What happens when you have a Home Secretary, aka Priti Patel? Oh, hang on, I'm fading into the background. What happens when you have Priti Patel, who introduces a very, very harsh immigration policy that does not allow these Eastern European drivers to stay? They go home. Again, like I say, Brexit is having an impact, and people like Jeff are desperately trying to avoid saying that it's Brexit, because to them, Brexit is their sacred cow, and Brexit will never, ever put a foot wrong. It will always be perfect in their eyes, and it's anyone who says anything against it, well, they're just wrong.
Everyone's looking to import drivers. And also in June, the International Road Transport Union, the IRU, put out a press release saying, truck driver shortages are expected to increase in 2021 by over a quarter on 2020 levels in almost all of the 23 countries surveyed in IRU's recent global survey of road transport firms. And now we have the Brexit effect hitting the US haulage industry. That's right. Bloomberg reported just yesterday that a trucking crisis has hit the USA and that they were looking for more drivers from abroad. A shortage of truckers across the US has become so severe that companies are trying to bring in drivers from abroad like seemingly never before, it said. Looks
again, this I've mentioned to Jeff already what the Brexit effects are. Again, you know what they are. I've just mentioned them. Why are you bringing up the US of all people? Again, we know the pandemic is having an effect on all sectors, in all industries, and the logistics sector is no different. Why is our logistic crisis here in the UK worse than it is in other countries? Because the only thing that's different between the German example you've used, the Italian example you used, the American example you've used, is that we've done Brexit and they haven't. Even America, which is its own thing, are having problems with the pandemic. Now, I've said before, the second you bring in Brexit, with, of course, the immigration rules explained by Priti Patel, the fact that EU logistics companies are no longer going to operate here, those are Brexit problems. That is making our supply chain problems worse. I'm also noticing he's failing to call out the number of times whenever we've covered one of these in one of our videos, every single haulage association, the Road Haulage Association, logistics companies have all said, we need to make sure that we can bring it back in these Eastern Europeans, even if it's only temporary, to try and solve this problem. Again, there has been a push, again, very recently, for HGV drivers to be added to the necessary skills shortage list so that they can come into the UK and work here. That is a Brexit issue, nothing to do with the pandemic. Again, Jeff won't mention that.
like drivers can now command a big premium, with the Telegraph reporting that HGV driver pay has leapt by 10.7%. And the BBC yesterday reported on one case where one driver, Tom Reddy, saw their pay increase by 40%. But Tom told the BBC, "But they could pay me £80,000 a year and it wouldn't be enough. I want to leave." And that's probably more to the point. These sorts of skill shortages occur when pay and conditions are not up to scratch. To get the drivers, we'll have to pay more, much more.
It's not just... It's not just the pay, because everyone has been in a situation like this. Everyone, I guarantee you, has been in a situation like this, or you know someone that's in a situation like this, where they might have good pay, but the conditions are awful. And they were more likely to leave, not because of the pay, but because of the conditions, because they just literally just can't put up with it. No amount, again, as that guy said, they'd offer me 80,000 a year. I wouldn't stay. I just want to leave. Because of the conditions. And you'll notice here, Jeff's immediate solution is, oh, just give them better wages. What about conditions, Jeff? What about the conditions? Should that not also be improved as well?
We are now seeing who the key workers really are in the UK economy, with drivers being one of them. But we pay them the least while throwing money at people to create fancy colour reports and spreadsheets that no one reads, and spending untold amounts on branding, forgetting that if you can't get the product manufactured or put in front of customers, then the rest is a bit pointless.
I feel like I've had a go at here, because that is my industry Jeff's just had a go at. No one is saying logistics isn't important at all, but branding, marketing, making those fancy spreadsheets, that makes sure that those products can sell and that those people are driving to those places where they can sell those products to be put into store or getting a product to the customer. Sorry, your branding people are quite important.
Now I want to get on to Asda going 100% for British beef. But first, I just want to say a massive thank you to all my Super Thanks, Patreon and PayPal supporters, as well as those that do buy a mug with my mug on it. Links in the description.
And I'm finished with Jeff today. I'm finished with Jeff. I don't think he's released a new video. Sometimes he might have. Oh, no. But yes, that is Jeff. Well and truly, once again, over and done with. Like I say, covering Jeff, honestly, at the end of like a proper Jeff session like we've had here, it really feels me. I feel proper drained after it. This is why we don't do this on a weekly basis. This is why I always say we've got to have like a week off of Jeff after this and not have him like week after week after week, because honestly, I just get so drained after this. And you've just seen why. That I think we were almost an hour on that video alone. I think it feels like that. It feels even longer than that. But yeah, as always, thank you very much for you all watching. Please do remember to hit that like, share, and subscribe button on your way out. If you're not subscribed, subscribe to see new videos, not about just about Brexit, but about UK politics in general, and about the general ongoings in UK politics, because come autumn, it's going to be very, very interesting. Trust me. It's all going to kick off soon. We've had the slight slump in the summer season because obviously Parliament's been on recess, but Parliament's got back this week, and it's all kicked off over the national insurance rises this week. So again, if you're interested in that type of stuff, please do hit that subscribe button, subscribe to me. Of course, down below there are links to my Patreon page and my Buy Me Coffee link, where again, you lot help me again do stuff like this. You help me get the green screen, the camera, the microphone and whatnot. And of course, again, like I say, the camera as well. Like I say, thank you very much to all the people who do support me that way. Put it back. There we go. like I say, it's very, very much appreciated for your supporting me. And of course, thank you always for watching. We'll hopefully see you next Saturday for another Good Morning Walk, as usual, bright and early at 8 a.m. GMT UK time. We'll be talking about, of course, the week that has been in UK politics, as we always do, or we'll be talking about whatever happens to take the fancy of us at that time. And like I say, we'll probably see a couple of ponies along the way as well. So, as always, thank you very much. Like I say, come join us on another live stream on Saturday. And of course, we'll be live streaming on Wednesday. But of course, next week, I am planning something a bit different. So watch out for my little live streams. So if you want to get those, then please do remember to hit that bell button. It will notify you when I do go live. So if you want to see those, like I say, we're going to try something a bit different. Like I say, next week, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. But like I say, thank you all for watching, and we'll see you all next time.